There's a new report out there that Mark Cuban wants to trade for this player, this type of player. We're going to dive into that coming up here on Dallas Mavericks Today. My name is Harrison Graham. But guys, I got to be honest, I am embarrassed when I look at these numbers. Just diving into some analytics on here on Mavericks Today, 161 new subscribers this month. The Heat report, those GD Miami Heat fans have compiled up 538 new subs. We got to close the gap before the month of February gets there. So if you want daily Mavericks coverage, hit that sub button. Let's take down the Miami Heat. According to Mark Stein, NBA Insider, the Mavericks have inquired about Kyle Kuzma before the NBA trade deadline, which is less than 3 weeks away. Here's what Stein had to say via his Substack. He said the Mavericks, league sources say, are among the teams that have inquired with Washington about its willingness to part with forward Kyle Kuzma. The Wizards, sources say, want at least 2 first-round picks for Kuzma. And the implication is they will be seeking higher quality picks than Toronto received from Indiana in the Siakam trade. 2 of the 3 future first-rounders sent to Toronto by Indiana are from the off-malign 2024 draft this June. In other words, this draft is not viewed that highly. We'll get to what the Mavs can offer here in a little bit, but you just think about the potential fit here in Kyle Kuzma. Stretch 4 that can create off the bounce, 22 points per game this year. He can shoot at all 3 levels. The 3-point percentage is a bit down this year, but you got to think a decent amount of that is just Washington's roster construction being a mess, and he's having to be more of a volume scorer. And the fact that he's over 45% from the field is pretty darn good. What I really like and appreciate about Kuzma's improvement throughout his career is he's above 4 assists per game now. He can really distribute the basketball as a creator. I think he'd be a great fit. I think it's like your number 3 scoring option, and then Tim Hardaway slides to your number 4 if he were not to be in a trade like this. I think that gives you a pretty potent top 4 with Luka, Kyrie, Kuzma, and Tim Hardaway Jr. So I think the fit works. I think the versatility matches, and you're not getting a ton of production at that 4 spot. So I certainly understand why Mark Cuban would want that, and we'll show you in a second why Mark Cuban does want a player of that regard, because he said so himself. Should the Mavs trade for Kyle Kuzma? What say you? Let us know in the comment section down below. Type T for trade, or you can type P for pass if you're not interested. I'm typing my T for trade. Pen comment on today's show, and after this YouTube ad break, we'll get to Mark Cuban's remarks. So Mark Cuban joined Mark Stein on 97.1 The Freak in Dallas. Stein does a weekend show every week, every Saturday. He has some good nuggets on there, so go check that out. He said, if we can get a big who can also create off the dribble, that'd be a plus. Well, insert Kyle Kuzma, who Mark Stein has reported, like I said, is in. They have inquired on Kuzma, the Mavericks has. Stein added this, said Kuzma obviously fits that description, but Dallas has only 1 available first-round pick to trade in 2027. The Mavericks also know that the Wizards' determination to acquire as many future first-round picks as possible is not going away. So again, Washington wants 2 first-round picks. The Mavericks only have 1 to trade. You look at some of the top assets Dallas has: Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, Maxence-Prosper, 2027 first-round pick. You've also got a guy like Jaden Hardy you can move, Grant Williams that you can move if you want to as well. If you're not going to send multiple firsts, you're going to have to send an enticing player and or players along with the 1 first-round pick you have to have a chance at Kyle Kuzma based on what the asking price is. Now, could the asking price change between now and the NBA trade deadline? Sure, that's certainly a possibility. But if you're basing it off of what the Mavericks can offer, you're going to have to give somewhat significant player acquisition to Washington to have a chance to pull this off. So with that being said, coming up here in a few moments, we will get into a Kyle Kuzma trade idea that I cooked up for you guys. Can the Mavericks reel him in? I put together the best option, or a best offer that I think Dallas would consider offering to Washington. But first, we got to show love to our sponsor, Factor, guys. Factor Meals is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, and you can get 50% off with code NBAChat50. The new year is here. I know a lot of you guys hitting the gym, trying to get back on the right track, and what that means is you don't have as much time to prepare, grocery shop, get in the kitchen, and cook those meals. That's where Factor Meal comes into play. I don't know about you. I get cooking fatigue sometimes. It's fun to cook, but it's tiring. Factor Meals is easy. They deliver meals of your choice based on their menu straight to your doorstep, and it only takes a couple of minutes to prepare. Throw them in the microwave. They even have non-microwave meals like salad toppers and protein shakes. They've got chef-recommended meals. They've got custom ones that you can put together, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. You can get delivered based on how much volume you want per week. 4 to 18 meals delivered at once, depending on how much you think you need on that particular week. They have protein plus options, calorie conscious options. So again, whatever you're looking for, whatever you're trying to attack with your diet and with your day-to-day lifestyle, Factor Meals has you covered. So go to factormeals.com/NBAchat50. That's factormeals.com/NBAchat50. That code NBAchat50 gets you 50% off. These are chef-prepared meals cooked to perfection. Eat, and enjoy. That link, factormeals.com/NBAchat50, code NBAchat50, is available in the comments and description of this video. Check out Factor Meals. You are not going to be disappointed. So here's my trade idea for Kyle Kuzma. Josh Green, Grant Williams, Olivier-Maxence-Prosper, and a 2027 first-round pick. If you can't offer 2 firsts, I think Josh Green and Omax, who could theoretically go for a first, I think you'd probably have to throw both to Toronto. Young players that are still growing in this league. Grant Williams hasn't had a great year this year, but he helps match salary, and he's still a young player as well on a somewhat affordable contract. And then the money works as well to get Kuzma back from Washington. I look at this trade and I ask you guys, who wins this trade? M for Mavs, W for Wizards. Maybe it's a win-win. Now, if a team's going to offer Washington 3 or 4 first-round picks, sure, then have at it. But I don't think they're getting 4, and I'm not sure they're getting 3. So would you rather have 2 firsts or 1 first plus Omax and Josh Green? That's pretty appealing to me. M for Mavs, W for Wizards. What say you? And if you're asking me, I think I'd pull the trigger here. It certainly would hurt your depth and, hurt some of your younger development. But Kyle Kuzma is still a pretty young player. He's on a 4-year, $100 million deal, so that's not an outrageous contract for a 20-point scorer. And then you look at what the Mavericks roster could be if you were to add Kyle Kuzma to the mix. Luka, Kyrie in the backcourt, Kuzma, Derek Jones on the wing, and then Derek Lively in the middle. Then you still have Tim Hardaway. You've got Jaden Hardy, Dante Exum, Seth Curry, Max Kleber, Dwight Powell. You still have decent depth there. I'd still like to maybe get a cheap backup center to upgrade from Powell, but all in all, Kyle Kuzma makes this team better. Now, if you can't get Kuzma, these are some other players at the wing spot, some guys who could play stretch 4 that could potentially be available. P.J. Washington's been rumored on the trade block. He's a guy the Mavericks showed interest in the offseason. Jeremy Grant, his contract's a little too rich for my liking. We've talked about that here on Mavericks Today. Andrew Wiggins isn't going to play stretch 4 for you. He's more of a 2-3, but he can create off the dribble, so I value that. And then Dorian Finney-Smith, recent reports suggest they want 2 first-round picks for him as well. So I love Dodo, but if I'm going to give up a bigger trade package, I'd rather have Kyle Kuzma, who gives me more scoring punch, if I'm being completely honest. And again, Kuzma fits the bill of what Mark Cuban wants. He said, I want a forward who can create. That's what Kyle Kuzma does. He can dish, he can score off the dribble, he can score at all 3 levels, he can play the 3, he can play the 4. I think he fits the bill of what they're looking for, and the question is can they get him or not? Is that trade I put together enough? Because I'm not throwing Tim Hardaway Jr. in that deal, even if I think Kyle Kuzma is a tick better. I want to keep Hardaway. So if they can get it done with that offer I made, give up Omax, Josh Green, Grant Williams, I think I'd have to do it if I was Dallas. Will the Mavericks make a trade before the deadline? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. I definitely think they will. It may not end up being one of these bigger trades like for a Kyle Kuzma, but I would anticipate at least one move coming. They're typically pretty active at the trade deadline, so I'm typing my Y for yes. All right, guys, that'll do it for Dallas Mavericks Today. Coop is moving today, so he will be back tomorrow. Not moving away. He still works here. He's moving into a new place. He'll be back with us tomorrow, so we will see you guys then. Go Mavs. Take care.